Hey there, I'm Cornboy, and welcome back to Mountain Clammer. If this is your first time watching one of these devlogs, I'm making a 2D rage game with weird movement where you are a little clam who's fallen off your boat and you need to get back up there. And of course that is easier said than done. For this devlog, I'm taking a more relaxed approach. When it comes to the narration, I haven't scripted things out, I'm just going off of bullet points. I really like when devlogs are very chill. I don't like the in-your-face, over-edited style of things, so if you like this, let me know. I think it should be more fun for me, so hopefully it is for the audience as well. Since my last devlog, I had the wonderful opportunity to go to the National Aquarium in Baltimore. I loved seeing all the wildlife, tons of different biomes and tanks, and lots of fish I'd never heard of or seen before. There's even something called a North American hogsucker. It's a hogsucker. How can you not love that? But anyway, I hope you enjoyed the footage I got from there. I'll be interspersing it throughout the video. If you're anywhere nearby, you should definitely go. And yeah, the oceans are pretty cool. Anyway, as I continue work on Mountain Clammer, I think the biggest thing I still have to fix is visuals. It's what I spent the most of last devlog working on, and I can happily say that I've made a ton of improvements for this one as well. The past month, I've worked a lot on getting rid of some of the old, nasty, crusty sprites and stuff, and replacing them with assets that I think are a lot better. There's also a little bit of gameplay stuff I've been working on too, so that's another thing to look forward to. There are a lot of new features and ideas that I do really want to implement, but I more so want to get this vertical slice completely done first. I want a really solid chunk of the game ready for demos so I can get good feedback and a little preview of what the polishing part of this development process is going to look like. So anyway, let's get into it. The first thing that I started working on this past month was the background. It's clearly the most boring part of the game to look at right now, and if you remember from last devlog, I tried to make a background. This week, I have something better. Not quite there yet, but as you can see, I attempted another pixel art background, and it looks okay. It's not bad. It's better, for sure. There's a cool thing. There's a hole. It's nice. I definitely still need to do some work on it though. I think I've been going about the background a little wrong. I've seen some very cool things with how other people doing pixel art games have done their backgrounds, where it's mostly just silhouettes of stuff, and I think that would work for me. That being said, I do want the very bottom of the map to be special. That's where you start the game. Everyone who boots up the game is gonna see that part. So I think custom pixel art for there, and then maybe custom pixel art as a transition between all of the different sea zones is a good idea. What I have done for the background that I like and am probably keeping is a little color gradient. I've made it now so that the game tracks the Y value of the clam, and as you get higher, the background goes through a gradient of a darkish blue-purple into a lighter blue-green. I don't think those colors are gonna stay permanent, and I think the gradient's gonna get a little more advanced, but it makes for a nice effect, and I think it'll definitely serve some purpose throughout the rest of development. Some of my favorite changes from the past month have been involving sprites. I have completely redone the clam and anglerfish sprite, and I am very happy with them. Here's what the clam sprite looked like before, and here it is now. I've essentially doubled the resolution, I've changed a few things about it, given it more shading, and it honestly just looks way better. The old style was nice and clunky, and if I wanted to do a genuine faithful to 8-bit or 16-bit style game, it would have been cool, but I've gotten better at pixel art. And I've also added another sprite for it, where its little mouth shell thing is open. It switches to this sprite when you're actually grabbing onto something, and it does that just with an array of sprites that I added to the tongue grab script. There's still more to tweak with this because despite the mouth now being open, the tongue joint, separate from the pixel art tongue that it now has, is behind the whole sprite. So the clam now has a tongue on the front and coming out of its butt. And I don't want that. So I still gotta work on that one a little bit. And of course, our other member of the cast who got a facelift is the anglerfish. I cannot believe how much better the anglerfish looks. Wow. It actually looks like an anglerfish now. Look at him, he's so grumpy. He's so angry to be swimming around in the water, the little light on his head. One new thing you may have noticed about those previous two sprites is I'm giving them outlines now. I'm not going to be giving outlines to everything, just the NPCs you interact with. And speaking of NPCs you interact with, the cuttlefish will have its very own pixel art makeover in the next episode. So keep an eye out for that. Another new feature that I'm very excited about is the tile set has gotten a major facelift. From my first draft last time, we now have dots. Bunch of speckles. As abstract as these are, I think they blend nicely from the tiles you can actually touch to the background. Eventually, as you get higher in the map, you use the whole width, so we don't have these blank tiles that need to just fill up space as much. But for the bottom layer and for some of the zones where there's like big chunky obstacles in the way, these dots are really nice. I've also smoothed out some tiles so they aren't as chunky and the transition between different types of tiles is more seamless. I'm definitely not at the final draft still, but I really like how this looks so far. The way the tile set works means it'll also be really easy to add decorative aesthetic tiles into the game. I've got a shark skeleton, some glasses, which may or may not look familiar, and a little eyeball dude hanging out. What did happen when I tried to implement this new tile set though, I have no idea how, but I accidentally turned the tile set into flesh. No idea how this happened. I couldn't find a way to revert it either. I re-imported the old and new tile sets a couple times. It just got corrupted somehow. So I'm rebuilding the map from scratch, which is fine. It's not like it was a permanent installment anyway. Everybody loves looking out into the ocean and seeing the beautiful flesh pillar. Who doesn't love that? Another cool new touch is particles when you collide with stuff. How they work is just a particle system attached to the clam with its own script. Anytime you collide with a wall, the game reads how fast you're going, what kind of tile you've collided with, and it tells the particle system to eject how many particles at what speed. They'll match the color of the wall you hit eventually. Can't figure that out yet, so that's coming soon. As for right now, I think they're nice and juicy. Undersea here, I've redecorated a couple things and I've added some of these weird tube plants around. I also put the coral somewhere and did some of the seaweed things. And I very quickly realized that I need variations of these undersea plants. If I use the exact same plant everywhere, it is gonna look very stale. So I'll at some point be going through and making tiny variations for all these plants. Also new is a stun effect for when you get hit by an enemy, which is just cuttlefish right now, but that might change in the future. It's just a little animation that turns your sprite's opacity down to 0 and back. The standard kinda arcade flash, ow, I've been hit effect. This effect is honestly very helpful for gameplay. It makes it a lot less frustrating to get hit by a cuttlefish because you know when you can grab again, and that's really nice. There were a couple times previously where you would attach to an anglerfish and the tongue would just kind of grab somewhere near the anglerfish. I was gonna try to fix that by centering the grab point, but just shrinking the hitbox worked fine. The game detects your clicks not by hitboxes, but with a raycast, so even smaller hitboxes for these guys are working fine. I've been having some weird, let's call them Unity quirks while I've been working on this. I've realized that the scene view is not matching the game view. None of this affects gameplay, and as soon as you actually press play, most of these issues go away, but it's something I should definitely be careful of. As far as gameplay is concerned, I tweaked the tongue settings a little bit. The tongue is more springy now, which is kind of a gross sentence that I don't enjoy saying. Ugh. I adjusted the tension on the tongue so that when you grab onto something, it kind of springs you closer to it more. I had changed it since doing the original game jam. Now it's back more towards that, where you're very springy and bouncy. I like it more this way, it makes you feel more agile. In addition to that, I also attempted to clamp the swing force of the clam. A big problem that I'm dealing with right now is the further away from the clam you go, the more force is applied when you're swinging. And this is kind of unfair because depending on monitor size or, where your actual cursor leaves the window, it changes the amount of force you can swing with, which is going to be a nightmare for balancing. It doesn't feel good when you have a little window of the screen. It causes your cursor to leave and like close out tabs on whatever browser you're in. It's, not great. I don't really know how to describe it in programming terms, but in audio terms, it's like I've put a compressor on the clam's force, and there's a maxed out speed you can reach while swinging around an anglerfish. Now that being said, I actually don't know if this code is working. I can't really tell. It feels better than before. Does that mean it's helping? Did I do it right? I don't know. We'll see. And that wraps up pretty much most of the changes I've made. They all feel pretty small on their own, but together the game is really starting to get an actual identity to its look. But it feels like I'm missing something right now. Oh, nice, the little man in a big ocean. This month episode, there's no consistency of these uploads. We've got the horseshoe crab. As I'm trying to get the vertical slice done, I figure some more animals who live at the sea floor would be great. And what better than the horseshoe crab? I was very inspired by my time at the aquarium to make one of these, and I just can't get over how cute they are. Horseshoe crabs are ancient animals. They've been around for hundreds of millions of years, outliving some of the dinosaurs. And I figure they are just weird enough, cool enough animals that I want them in my game. So I took a stab at animating them, drawing them, and this is what I got. Right now this one is having a time. Kind of floating around a little bit. I have to go back and tweak its animations. The animation I have for it isn't very modular. It's based on world coordinates. I might try to find a way to fix that and make it easier to have them roam around on tiles directly. But this guy at least will just wander around, very unfazed by the clam, as just something to kind of look at. Yeah, I thought I was missing something. That is a lot better. The Mountain Clammer Ocean is starting to get a lot nicer looking, and I'm very excited to keep working on the game. Coming up next are going to be a few more tweaks to visuals, but the main thing that's going to happen is I'm going to take a stab at renovating the audio system. It was a point of frustration in the original jam that I couldn't get dynamic adaptive music working, but that's coming up next time, along with a few more exciting things to look forward to. If you've made it this far in the video, please consider giving a like and a subscription, or even a comment. I'm not above asking for that. It's really nice to get comments and likes, so I really do appreciate you watching. This has been a very fun project to just keep working on when I want to. Again, I'm full-time employed. This is just a hobby for fun, but I really like the little world I've made, and I'm falling in love with the clam a little bit. Thanks for watching. I will see you back for another Mountain Clammer devlog next time.